The massive crystal dome of the Galactic Council chamber sparkled under the light of three suns. Dr. James Walker stood at the center platform, his heart beating faster than usual. He was the first human to ever stand in this sacred place, where the fate of civilizations had been decided for millions of years. Around him, representatives from over 200 alien species sat in rising circular tiers, their bodies ranging from crystalline structures to gaseous forms contained in special suits. The air smelled like a mix of ocean breeze and mountain pine, carefully designed to be pleasant for most oxygen-breathing species. "Honorable Council," Walker began, his voice steady despite his nervousness. "Earth thanks you for accepting us into this gathering of advanced civilizations." He pressed a button on his wrist device, and a hologram appeared above the platform. It showed complex mathematical equations and dimensional diagrams that Earth's best scientists had worked on for decades. A low murmur spread through the chamber. Some aliens leaned forward in interest, while others shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The Meridian representative, Lord High Commander Bright Star, raised one of his four arms. His crystalline body reflected rainbow patterns across the chamber walls. "Dr. Walker," Bright Star's voice resonated with authority. "You claim your species has theoretically solved seven-dimensional travel, when you have barely mastered simple spaceflight." His tone carried the kind of amusement an adult might show toward a child's fantastic stories. Walker nodded confidently. "Yes, Commander. Our research shows that consciousness itself can be used as a catalyst for dimensional manipulation. We believe this could revolutionize space travel and—" He was interrupted by something that sounded like laughter. If laughter could come in 1,000 different forms at once. Some aliens made clicking sounds, others released colorful gas bubbles, and a few vibrated at frequencies that made the platform under Walker's feet shake. "Fascinating." A blob-like creature from the third tier spoke, its translator making its amusement clear. "The humans think consciousness affects dimensional barriers. Next, they'll tell us their emotions can bend time." More laughter followed. Bright Star raised his hand for silence. "Dr. Walker, even our most advanced civilizations took thousands of years to master fifth-dimensional travel. The Meridians have existed for millions of years, and we still struggle with certain aspects of it. What makes humans think they can achieve something we consider impossible?" Walker displayed another set of equations. "Our research suggests that human neural patterns are uniquely suited for—" "Enough," Bright Star interrupted. "We appreciate Earth's enthusiasm, but perhaps you should focus on more achievable goals. Master regular space flight first. Learn to colonize your own solar system. Leave dimensional physics to those who have spent eons studying it." The council chamber filled with agreeing murmurs and more alien laughter. Walker stood straight, his face neutral, but his hands were clenched tight behind his back. He had expected skepticism, but not this level of dismissal. An elder Meridian floated down to the platform. Its crystal body had gone cloudy with age, a sign of ancient wisdom among their kind. "Young species often rush to prove themselves," it said kindly. "There is no shame in learning at a proper pace. We offer our guidance in developing your conventional space technology." Walker bowed slightly, following diplomatic protocol. "We thank the Council for its wisdom." He gathered his materials, the hologram fading away. As he turned to leave, he paused and looked back. But humanity has a saying: "Those who laugh first don't always laugh last." The statement caused another ripple of amusement through the chamber. As Walker walked out, he heard one alien asking another what curious creatures humans were, thinking they could accomplish in decades what took others millennia. Back in his temporary quarters on the council station, Walker sent a coded message to Earth: "Proceed with Project Infinity. They suspect nothing." He looked out his window at the spectacular view of the galaxy's central worlds, their advanced technology creating artificial constellations of light and energy. Soon, very soon, they would learn that humanity's primitive understanding of dimensional physics was anything but simple theory. The laughter would stop then. and the galaxy would never be the same. 5 years after the humiliation at the Galactic Council, deep beneath the Antarctic ice, something extraordinary was happening. The research facility, known as Deep Point, hummed with energy as machines whirred in their underground chambers. Warning lights cast red shadows across the steel corridors, and the air crackled with possibility. Professor Anna Reed stood before a large window, watching the experimental chamber below. Her breath created small clouds in the cold air as she studied the readings on her tablet. Behind the thick glass, a small metal sphere floated in midair, surrounded by spinning rings of light. "Power levels stable at 87%, called out Mike from his control station. He was young for a quantum physicist, but his mind worked faster than most computers. "Neural interface is green across all channels." Reed nodded, her eyes never leaving the sphere. "Begin consciousness integration sequence," she ordered. The team had run this test 47 times before. They had failed 47 times, but today felt different. Inside the chamber, the sphere began to pulse with a soft blue light. The rings around it spun faster, creating patterns that seemed to bend inward, as if being pulled into an invisible point. The air itself appeared to ripple, like heat waves rising from hot pavement. "Professor," called Lisa from her station, "we're detecting quantum fluctuations in all 7-dimensional planes." Her voice trembled with excitement. "The patterns, they're matching human brainwave frequencies perfectly." Reed pressed her hand against the cold glass. This was what the aliens had missed. Their mighty civilizations had spent millennia trying to force their way through dimensional barriers using pure technology. They never considered that consciousness itself might be the key, that the human mind, with its unique neural patterns, could naturally resonate with higher dimensions. "Quantum coherence achieving critical mass," Mike announced. The sphere was now barely visible, seeming to exist in multiple states at once. Neural synchronization at 95% and climbing. Alarms began to blare as energy readings spiked across all monitors. The sphere flickered in and out of existence, each time appearing slightly different, as if they were seeing multiple versions of it simultaneously. "It's working," Reed whispered. She quickly pressed her communicator. "All stations, maintain power levels. Don't let it destabilize." The chamber filled with swirling lights as the sphere phased through different dimensional states. Each shift revealed glimpses of other realities, versions of the chamber where the equipment was slightly different, where the lights were arranged in other patterns. Suddenly, everything went quiet. The sphere hung motionless in the air, but it wasn't quite there anymore. It existed in a state between states, visible in 7 different dimensions at once. "Record everything," Reed ordered, her voice barely containing her excitement. "Full spectrum analysis, quantum state readings, neural pattern logs. I want it all." The team worked frantically, gathering data as the sphere maintained its impossible state for nearly 3 minutes before gradually returning to normal. When it was over, the chamber was filled with the sound of cheering and crying scientists. Reed finally allowed herself to smile. "Send word to Dr. Walker," she said to her assistant. "Tell him Project Infinity was successful. We've done it." Hours later, in her private office, Reed reviewed the data with trembling hands. The implications were staggering. They hadn't just proved 7-dimensional travel was possible. They had shown that humans were naturally suited for it. The neural interfaces they'd developed allowed human consciousness to guide objects through dimensional barriers as easily as walking through a door. She opened her desk drawer and pulled out an old photograph. It showed the Galactic Council chamber, with Dr. Walker standing proudly despite the mockery he faced that day. Reed pinned it to her wall, right next to the project's first theoretical equations. "Let them laugh," she said to herself, thinking of all those ancient, supposedly superior civilizations. "They don't understand what's coming." In the chamber below, the sphere sat quietly on its pedestal. To most eyes, it looked like a simple piece of metal. But now it carried humanity's greatest secret, the key to powers that would change the galaxy forever. The experimental vessel Prometheus floated silently at the edge of the Kuiper Belt, its sleek black hull absorbing what little sunlight reached this far from Earth. Inside the bridge, Commander Thomas More sat in the pilot's chair, his hands resting on the neural interface panels that glowed with a soft blue light. "All systems are green," reported Jack from the engineering station. 7D drive is powered up and stable. His voice was steady, but his fingers tapped nervously on his console. More nodded, taking a deep breath. 6 months of training had prepared him for this moment. The neural interfaces would connect his consciousness directly to the ship's dimensional drive, allowing him to guide it through higher dimensions using thought alone. "Mission Control, this is Prometheus," More called. "We are ready to begin Test Sequence Alpha." Professor Reed's voice came through clearly despite the vast distance. "Confirmed, Prometheus. Remember, start with a simple dimensional shift. Don't try to maintain multiple states yet." More closed his eyes as the neural interface activated. Instantly, his mind expanded. He could feel the ship as if it were part of his own body. More than that, he could sense the dimensional barriers around them, invisible walls between different layers of reality. "Beginning dimensional shift in 3, 2, 1. More focused his thoughts, and the Prometheus responded. The stars outside seemed to blur and stretch. The ship's sensors recorded hundreds of alarms as reality itself bent around them. For a brief moment, More felt like he existed everywhere and nowhere at once. "First shift successful," Jack called out. We're one-dimensional plane higher than normal space." The view through the bridge windows had changed. The stars now had a strange, ghostly quality to them, and spatial distance seemed to work differently. More could somehow sense locations that should have been millions of miles away, as if they were just around the corner. "Incredible," More whispered. "Control, are you seeing this?" "Confirmed, Prometheus," Reed replied. "Your readings are beyond our highest expectations. How do you feel?" "It's natural," More said, surprised by his own words. "Like this is how space travel should have always been." The test continued as More guided the ship through different dimensional states. Each shift became easier than the last, his mind adapting to perceive and navigate through higher dimensions. The Prometheus responded perfectly, its human-designed systems working in harmony with human consciousness. Then Jack's console lit up with warning lights. "Commander, I'm detecting an energy spike from the direction of Pluto's orbit. Something's out there, something artificial." More quickly shifted the ship's sensors to focus on the location. A structure became visible. An alien observation post, hidden in what they had thought was empty space. Its sensors were clearly active, scanning the Prometheus. "Control, we have a situation," More reported. "Looks like we're not as alone out here as we thought." "Return to base immediately," Dr. Walker's voice cut in urgently. "We can't let them analyze the ship." But More had a different idea. "Actually, I want to try something." Before anyone could object, he reached out with his mind through the neural interface. The 7D drive hummed to life, and the Prometheus began to exist in multiple dimensional states simultaneously. To any observer, the ship would appear to be in several places at once, making it impossible to get accurate readings. The alien station's scanning beams passed through empty space where the ship had been, unable to lock onto its constantly shifting dimensional signature. That's not possible," Jack breathed, staring at his readings. "We're existing in 5 different dimensional states at once. The power usage should be astronomical, but it's barely touching our reserves." More allowed himself a small smile. Looks like those ancient aliens didn't know everything after all. The Prometheus returned to Earth's secret lunar base an hour later, its test more successful than anyone had dared hope. But as More gave his report to Professor Reed and Dr. Walker, they all knew that their secret wouldn't last long. The alien observation post had seen enough to raise questions. Somewhere in the vast bureaucracy of the Galactic Council, Alarms were already beginning to ring. The emergency meeting of Earth's Defense Council didn't wait for dawn. At 3 a.m., the underground chamber in Geneva buzzed with tension as global leaders gathered around a holographic display showing the solar system. Red dots appeared everywhere. Alien ships dropping out of conventional faster-than-light travel around every major planet and celestial body. Dr. Walker stood before the assembly, his face grave. The Galactic Council's fleet arrived 30 minutes ago. Their numbers are significant. He gestured, and the hologram zoomed in to show the massive crystalline ships of the Meridians, surrounded by vessels from dozens of other alien civilizations. "How many?" asked the council president, her knuckles white, as she gripped her chair. "Over 3,000 ships, with more arriving every hour," Walker replied. "They positioned themselves to blockade all major space lanes in our system." The chamber erupted in worried murmurs. Professor Reed, who sat next to Commander Moore, pulled up data on her tablet. "Their energy readings are off the charts. Each of those Meridian battleships could probably vaporize a small continent." A harsh alien voice suddenly boomed through the chamber's speakers. "Attention, representatives of Earth." The hologram shifted to show the crystalline form of Lord High Commander Bright Star, his usually rainbow-like body now pulsing with angry red light. "We have detected your experiments with dimensional manipulation," Bright Star continued. "You have recklessly pursued technology far beyond your understanding. This violation cannot be allowed to continue." The council president stood. "High Commander, we are a sovereign species. We have the right to develop our own technology." "You have the right to develop safe technologies," Bright Star corrected sharply. "Your crude attempts at dimensional manipulation threaten the very fabric of space-time. We had hoped you would learn patience, but instead, you chose to endanger the entire galaxy with your arrogance." Commander Moore stepped forward. "With all due respect, our tests were completely successful. The Prometheus demonstrated perfect control over—" Silence. Bright Star's form flared brightly. "You cannot comprehend the forces you are playing with. The Council has voted. You have 2 Earth days to surrender all research data, prototype technology, and personnel involved in your dimensional travel program. After that, we will be forced to take corrective action." The hologram showed the alien ships powering up their weapons. The message was clear. "And if we refuse?" Dr. Walker asked quietly. "Then we will have no choice but to eliminate the threat." Bright Star replied coldly. "We would regret the loss of your species, but we cannot risk the stability of space-time for one young race's pride. You have 2 days. Choose wisely." The transmission cut off, leaving the chamber in stunned silence. "They're scared," Professor Reed suddenly said, looking up from her readings. "These energy patterns in their ships, they're not in an attack formation. They're in a containment pattern, like they're trying to bottle something up." "Can we fight them?" someone asked. Commander Moore shook his head. "Not conventionally. Their technology is centuries ahead of our regular weapons." But he exchanged a meaningful look with Reed. "But what?" the president demanded. "The Prometheus isn't our only 7D-capable ship anymore," Reed explained. "We've been busy these past few months. Project Infinity has a fleet of its own now." Walker nodded slowly. "They think they know what we're capable of. They're wrong." He turned to address the council. "Ladies and gentlemen, I suggest we show them exactly what humanity can do with dimensional travel, not to start a war, but to prove we can't be bullied." The council president looked around the room, seeing determination replace fear in the faces of Earth's leaders. "How long do you need to prepare?" "Give us 1 day," Commander Moore said confidently. 1 day to show the galaxy that humanity isn't just playing with dimensions, we're mastering them." As the council broke into planning sessions, the hologram continued to show the alien fleet surrounding Earth. They thought they had humanity trapped. They were about to learn how wrong they were. While Earth's military prepared for possible conflict, Dr. Walker and Professor Reed worked frantically in the archives beneath the lunar base, Holographic displays surrounded them, showing ancient alien texts that Earth had received as part of their initial welcome package to the Galactic Council. "There has to be more to this," Reed muttered, her eyes scanning through thousands of years of galactic history. "Their reaction is too extreme for simple scientific concern." Walker nodded, directing his computer to translate another set of crystalline data cards. "The Meridians are hiding something. Their containment pattern around Earth, it's not just military strategy. It's almost like a ritual formation." Reed suddenly stopped scrolling, her eyes wide. "James, look at this." She projected a section of text into the air between them. The hologram showed ancient symbols that swirled and shifted, written in the oldest known galactic language. "The Prophecy of the Dimension Weavers," Walker read slowly. "Written by the first seers of the Meridian race, over 3 million years ago." As they read further, their faces grew pale. The ancient text spoke of beings who would one day walk between dimensions as easily as others walked on solid ground. These dimension weavers would hold the power to either unite the galaxy in harmony or tear reality itself apart. "The prophecy speaks of creatures whose minds can touch the fabric of dimensions," Reed whispered. "Beings who don't just use technology to travel between dimensional planes, but whose consciousness naturally resonates with the higher dimensions. Just like human neural patterns," Walker added. "The Meridians weren't just being arrogant when they dismissed our research. They were trying to prevent this prophecy from coming true." Reed pulled up more recent historical records. "Look at this." Every time a species showed unusual aptitude for dimensional physics, the Meridians stepped in. They'd been guiding, no, controlling, the galaxy's technological development for millions of years. Their communication device suddenly activated, showing Commander Moore's face. Professor, we're detecting energy surges from the alien fleet. They're forming some kind of dimensional barrier around the solar system." Walker quickly shared their discovery. "Tom, they're not just trying to contain us. They're performing an ancient ritual they believe will seal Earth off from higher dimensions. We're not dealing with simple politics anymore. This is religious for them." "Religious?" Moore looked confused. "You're saying they're this afraid because of some ancient prophecy?" "Not just any prophecy," Reed explained. "One that's been driving their civilization's actions for millions of years. They've shaped the entire galaxy based on it, guiding other species away from true dimensional travel." "But why?" Moore asked. "If this power could unite the galaxy, it could also destroy it," Walker interrupted. "At least, that's what they believe. The prophecy is unclear. It says the Dimension Weavers would have the power to do either." Reed's computer suddenly beeped with an alert. "Energy readings from their fleet are reaching critical levels. If they complete this containment ritual, we might lose our ability to access higher dimensions completely." Walker straightened up, a determined look in his eyes. "They've spent millions of years running from this prophecy, trying to prevent it. But maybe that's exactly why we're here. Not to destroy reality, but to show them what dimensional travel was always meant to be." "How long until our fleet is ready?" Reed asked Moore. 20 minutes, he replied. "But whatever we're going to do, we need to do it fast. Those energy readings keep climbing." Walker looked at the ancient prophecy one more time, its words seeming to pulse with hidden meaning. "Inform Earth's council immediately. They need to know what we're really dealing with here." As Reed and Walker rushed to share their discovery, the alien fleet continued their ritual. The space around Earth's solar system began to ripple with dimensional energy as the Meridians attempted to seal humanity away from its destiny. But prophecies, like dimensions themselves, had a way of following their own paths, and humanity's path was about to change the galaxy forever. The Prometheus hung silently in Earth orbit as Commander Moore watched the alien fleet's dimensional barrier taking shape around the solar system. The barrier looked like a shimmering web of light, designed to cut Earth off from higher dimensions forever. "All ships report ready," Jack announced from his station. The neural interfaces throughout the bridge pulsed with soft blue light, ready to connect human consciousness to the ship's 7D drives. Professor Reed, Moore called through the comm system. "Are you sure this will work?" Reed's voice came back confident. "The prophecy speaks of dimension weavers working in harmony. One ship alone is powerful, but all of them working together, that's something even the Meridians never tried." Moore looked at the tactical display. Hidden in dimensional pockets around the solar system, 30 human ships waited. Each one carried a crew specially trained to navigate higher dimensions. Together, they represented humanity's true power, not just the technology, but the unique human ability to perceive and manipulate dimensional space. "Begin Operation Unity," Moore ordered. "All ships activate neural interfaces and prepare for simultaneous dimensional shift." The Prometheus's systems hummed to life as Moore closed his eyes and connected with the ship. Through the neural interface, he could sense the other vessel commanders doing the same. Their consciousnesses touched across dimensional barriers, creating a network of human minds stronger than any computer system. "Meridian Fleet is charging weapons," Jack reported. "They've detected something." Lord High Commander Bright Star's voice boomed across all channels. "This is your final warning. Stand down or face extinction. Our barrier will seal your system in moments." Moore opened his eyes, a slight smile on his face. "Actually, High Commander, we'd like to show you something first." He reached out through the neural interface, connecting with every ship commander simultaneously. Now, in an instant, 30 human ships existed everywhere at once. The Prometheus appeared simultaneously at every strategic point around Earth, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Each ship existed in multiple dimensional states, making them impossible to target or track. The alien fleet's sensors went wild, unable to comprehend how the same ships could exist in hundreds of places at the same time. Their carefully planned containment formation broke apart in confusion. "Impossible." Bright Star's voice shook with emotion. "No species can maintain multiple dimensional states this way." "You never understood," Moore replied calmly. "You tried to force dimensional travel through pure technology. We learned to work with dimensions naturally, using our consciousness as a guide." Through the neural interface, Moore could feel the other commanders working in perfect harmony. They weren't just moving through space, they were weaving through dimensions themselves, exactly as the ancient prophecy had foretold. "Your barrier won't work," he continued. "You can't cut us off from higher dimensions because we don't just travel through them. We resonate with them. It's part of who we are." To demonstrate, the human ships began moving in complex patterns, existing in 7 dimensions simultaneously. They danced through space-time itself, creating a display of dimensional mastery that left the alien fleet in stunned silence. "We never wanted war," Moore said firmly. "We wanted to explore, to understand, to grow. Your prophecy speaks of dimension weavers who could unite or destroy. Did you ever consider that by trying so hard to prevent us from emerging, you might have caused the very destruction you feared?" The Prometheus shifted again, appearing right in front of Bright Star's flagship. But instead of attacking, it simply held position, existing in a state of perfect dimensional harmony. "The choice is yours, High Commander," Moore offered. "We can fight and prove that your worst fears about the prophecy were right. Or we can work together and show you why the ancient seers might have seen our arrival as a chance for unity instead of destruction." The alien fleet hung motionless in space as their leaders faced a choice millions of years in the making. Humanity had proven itself beyond any doubt. Now, the galaxy's future hung in the balance of the Meridian's response. 1 year after humanity's demonstration of dimensional mastery, the great crystal dome of the Galactic Council chamber looked very different. Where once alien representatives had laughed at human theories, now they gathered eagerly around Professor Reed as she explained the principles of consciousness-driven dimensional travel. "The key was never about forcing our way through dimensional barriers," Reed explained, standing beside a holographic display of human neural patterns. "It was about understanding that consciousness itself is multidimensional. The chamber, once filled with mockery, now hummed with excitement. Even the eldest Meridian scholars took notes as Reed demonstrated how human brainwaves naturally resonated with higher dimensional frequencies. At another part of the chamber, Commander Moore led training sessions for alien pilots. The Prometheus, now serving as a school ship, had been modified to accommodate various alien physiologies. While not all species could achieve the same level of dimensional control as humans, many discovered they had hidden potential that centuries of Meridian guidance had suppressed. Think of dimensions like layers of reality. Moore explained to his diverse class. Don't try to break through them. Feel how they flow together, how they're all connected. Dr. Walker stood with Lord High Commander Bright Star, watching the exchange of knowledge. The Meridian leader's crystalline form had softened to a gentle blue, a sign of peaceful contemplation. We spent millions of years trying to prevent the prophecy, Bright Star said quietly. We never considered that fighting it might have been our greatest mistake. Walker nodded. Sometimes the hardest part of wisdom is accepting that change isn't always a threat. The Meridian turned to face him. Your people have achieved more in 1 year of open cooperation than our civilizations managed in eons of restricted research. The ancient seers spoke truly. Humanity has united the galaxy in ways we never imagined possible. Across the chamber, representatives from hundreds of worlds shared their own discoveries. Once the Meridian's dimensional restrictions were lifted, many species found they had unique insights to contribute. The quantum archives, once sealed by the Meridians, now served as a public library of dimensional physics. We're receiving reports from the deep space expeditions, Reed announced to the gathered council. The joint human-alien crews have successfully mapped stellar phenomena in 9-dimensional planes. They're discovering things we never knew existed. The news brought a wave of excitement through the chamber. Already, this new era of exploration had revolutionized everything from medicine to art. Diseases once thought incurable were being treated through dimensional healing techniques. Artists created works that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, pushing the boundaries of perception itself. There's something you should see, Bright Star said, leading Walker to a quiet corner of the chamber. He activated a hidden display, revealing the complete text of the ancient prophecy. We only recently decoded the final passage. Walker read the shimmering words carefully. When the Weavers emerge, fear not their power, for it is not the strength of their technology that will reshape the galaxy, but the wisdom of their choice between dominance and harmony. We feared you would choose dominance, Bright Star admitted. Instead, you showed us a better path. A soft chime echoed through the chamber, signaling the arrival of something extraordinary. Outside the dome's transparent walls, the Prometheus appeared, shifting smoothly through dimensional states as it trained a new group of pilots. In its wake, streams of dimensional energy formed beautiful patterns across space. Walker smiled at the sight. You know what humans say about fear, High Commander. It often prevents us from seeing the very solutions we're looking for. As the chamber filled with discussions of new discoveries and joint projects, Walker thought about how far they'd come. Humanity had proven itself not through force or technology alone, but through the willingness to share knowledge and work together. The galaxy had entered a new age of exploration and understanding. And somewhere, in the quantum fabric of space-time itself, the ancient seers who wrote the prophecy might have been smiling, knowing their words had finally found their true meaning in the harmony of all species reaching for the stars together.